Ladies and gentlemen, friends from all over the world, welcome to Zelda Speedruns and welcome to the Zelda Speedruns Marathon 2021. It's finally time. We're back for the first time since 2018, delivering 72 hours of raw Zelda speedrunning action, all to benefit the Pank1 network, fighting pancreatic cancer as a Pank1 ambassador. We are so proud to be back. We're so happy. It's about time. The past few weeks were really stressful, but we're so happy to get you going. So without further ado, because you all want to see action and you don't want to hear me talk, although I'm really happy to be here, let's dive onto the layout and let's hand it to our two commentators for the first race for A Link to the Past, All Dungeons RMG, SNES versus GBA.
All right, hello everyone. Welcome to a race of A Link to the Past. And I'm Steven, and I'm joined by Glan.
Hello.
And this is a never-before-seen race, I would say. We've got a GBA version versus a SNES version of this game.
Yes, this is going to be, I would say, a pretty interesting race. There's actually a lot of differences between the SNES version and the GBA version, including like what glitches are even possible, which means they're going to be taking completely different routes. It's going to be a bit hectic maybe, but we'll get to fully showcase the differences between both versions here.
Yeah, we have Michael K on the left running on Game Boy Advance and Spleebie on the right on Super Nintendo. And if I'm not mistaken, GBA was the GBA version was released 10 or 11 years after the SNES version.
Yeah, I forget exactly.
Well, we're off already.
Like
We've got Michael K already in the lead, burning down bushes.
I mean, we're already seeing like a lot of the GBA differences here, so you may have noticed the text at the start was a lot faster on GBA.
Yeah, that is a significant difference between these two versions and why they're different games on separate leaderboards on Speedrun.com.
Yeah, it's something that actually makes like the GBA time pretty comparable to the SNES, despite lacking a lot of the glitches that it has. Just the general speed of the text and even all the screen transitions too are a lot faster. You all see him burning bushes with the lamp, which is a new feature in the GBA version, and when he picked up the lamp, he got a full magic refill, whereas Spleebie did not, because that was also a new thing on the GBA version.
Yeah, we'll see magic refills when magical items are picked up, I believe.
Yeah.
And there's some interesting and subtle version differences. And
we're also going to see the first routing difference coming up here. So while Michael is going to head down to the castle basement to do the escape sequence normally, Spleebie's actually jumping off that ledge and saving and quitting in midair, which is going to do something that's called arming EG. Normally EG is one of the major glitches that's banned in this rule set, but we do allow a variation of it called overworld EG, which is going to be used to skip past the gold guards here.
Yeah, and it's used in combination with a glitch called Lonk State, which we will see Spleebie attempt. It is very difficult because it involves getting knocked into a door, and we failed the first attempt, but we'll try it once more.
Yeah. You unfortunately messed it up. To get it, you have to get damaged into the doorway. But if you fail it, then that causes you to lose the RMG state, and you'll have to go and do the save and quit again.
Yeah. And
Lonk state's a very weird glitch, where basically some properties of Link get set as if he's the bunny, even though he's actually Link. And
we've
got consequence of the state for some reason is that when he walks into the Aghanim's Tower barrier up here, it's going to actually be able to activate the overworld EG, whereas it wouldn't if he was just in the normal Link state.
Yeah, so that's how these two glitches that we just described stack and allow us to pass the gold card. And next up, we are, we're leaving Escape for now, not saving Zelda. We're going to Eastern Palace. We're going to defeat Armos Knights and earn the boots. And we'll later get the magic mirror, which will allow us to make Escape a lot shorter, which is sort of a route that we discovered last year.
Yeah. So you see the first clip of the run here, which is what we call the River Fought, which stands for Funny Auto Walk Thing. Very great name coined by Super Scudge, legendary glitch hunter of this game.
For sure. And Spleebie is now using a citrus clip. Citrus named after Yuzuhara, another legend of A Link to the Past. And this citrus clip saves 6 plus... Actually, maybe not. Yeah, something like that.
It saves a little less in the rain.
Yeah,
because
it's
there's
just
no
a
enemies on the
shortcut.
screen.
Yeah, Rain State has a bit of a different situation.
So Michael's here, still continuing through the normal escape sequence. He's lighting some snakes on fire. Wonders of the GBA version.
Yeah, I like Link's movement in this, where Link, attacks enemies without slowing down, without pausing to slash.
Yeah, that's actually really cool. The lamp doesn't stop you from moving. So Spleebie's going to be heading through Eastern Palace here, which is the first normal dungeon in the game. It's pretty straightforward dungeon. It's very linear, so kind of just go on the normal path. There's only really one trick that speeds it up, which will be coming in a few rooms.
Right, and at 5 minutes and 19 seconds on Michael's splits, he's out of escape, which is pretty nice to see.
Just as like a comparison, on SNES, the escape sequence takes more like 5:50 to 6 minutes-ish. So all that time there was saved just from the faster text and screen transitions of GBA, basically.
Meanwhile, Spleebie gets the big key of Eastern Palace using a damage boost, which is one of the tricks of Eastern Palace. And he gets a heart for safety, which I agree with.
Yeah. Yeah, we also saw another GBA difference a little bit ago, which was that Michael did a save and quit out of the Sanctuary, and save and quit is very, 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 very much longer in GBA. It has to go through like the entire cartridge intro, and then you have to select your game, and then everything. It's extremely slow. So there's not very many save and quits in that route.
Funny, I didn't catch that.
But yeah, now Michael himself is also in Eastern Palace. I believe the route is the same here on GBA. There's no real difference.
And Spleebie is stocking up on arrows just for safety. It may be important for him later.
Yeah, probably you'll want to use someone Helma, if I had to guess.
And we will need arrows for a glitch in Swamp Palace.
True.
Alright, nice standard fight for Spleebie. Earns the green pendant.
So after we get the green pendant, we can go talk to Sahazrula to get the Pegasus Boots. That's going to be like the main speed tech in the game is dashing with the Pegasus Boots. But they're also really useful for a lot of glitching, which we're going to see in a little bit as well. in order to clip up to Death Mountain with one variation of what we call Death Mountain Ascent, or DMA for short.
Yeah, both of these versions of the game allow us to use the boots to easily clip laterally into slopes, and we'll see that used in slightly different ways. And there's a bit more of a limitation on the kinds of clipping that we can do in GBA, but both DMAs will be approximately the same.
Yeah.
We'll see spin speed on Spleebie's side.
Yeah. Spin speed is a minor glitch where you use the boots one frame after releasing a spin attack, and that puts Link into a glitch state where he's set to be in a dashing state, but isn't actually dashing and has free movement. And that lets you get a lot of speed off those manual stairs. And it's also extremely useful for glitching, as he's going to again get into the spin speed state here, and then he can just walk into this diagonal wall and do some jumping to wrap around the screen and get into the cave to go up Death Mountain without having the power glove that you normally need.
Right, and we're going this way. We're rescuing the old man to get the magic mirror, and we want this mirror early to allow us to get through escape quickly. A nice fight from Michael, taking down Armos.
Now, it's worth mentioning as well that we didn't do Eastern Palace first just to get the boots. We actually had to fight Armos here in order to get the mirror. Due to being in the rain state, there's actually a complication with how the old man works in this cutscene here. In that, kind of, if you just, like, go and rescue him, he won't stop walking into the cave, and he'll just walk infinitely and soft lock the game. But if you do certain things first, one of which is being in the Armos Knight fight, that actually fixes it so that it doesn't soft lock. And Spleebie's doing some screen wrapping clips here on Death Mountain to get into this cave here. Saves a couple seconds over walking normally.
Right, and we are now bomb clipping. So Spleebie is setting up a bomb on a specific range of pixels, and it's going to blast him through the wall. And he wraps around the entire underworld map, and this puts him in a glitched sort of Palace of Darkness screen. So now we're in Palace of Darkness. Since we wrapped the underworld map, there are no sprites here. Additionally, we are still in a cave state from entering Spectacle Rock, and keys don't work correctly in caves, so we unlock a door for free. And now we've reloaded the entrance of Pod and can continue somewhat normally.
Yeah, I also missed what happened to Michael. I'm not sure why he's going back to Eastern.
Oh, I don't know.
Maybe he heart locked or something. Somehow.
Michael actually, by accident, reset early before the save enter.
Oh.
So...
Well, that's pretty unfortunate.
Yeah. That's okay. Time loss, but Michael will continue on. So it may just be a muscle memory difference. A Link to the Past too. From SNES to GBA, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Would it be okay for me to read a donation or two, just for the start?
Sure.
Alright, just quickly, the 3 biggest donations that came in so far from TJ donating $100 saying, "Hey, I want to thank ZSR for everything they have done for me. The last almost 2 years have been rough for me, and I assume for most, with the lockdown that doesn't seem to end. ZSR has helped me a lot with being a super friendly community and open to anybody that wants to dive into the many different Zelda games. Thank you, ZSR, for all the restreams, the helping hand in chat when there are questions, just being awesome. Looking forward to an amazing event with a lot of different games and different runs. Much love, TJ. I couldn't say thank you enough, TJ. Thank you so much. Also, a big shout out to Misery Fox for $100 saying good luck, have fun everybody, and to Chuckles501 saying all dungeons, let's go! And that's the best way for me to give it back to you guys.
Thanks so much. So while in Palace of Darkness, Spleebie executed a nice bomb jump, the hammer jump that we know from any percent RMG and other categories, and earned the hammer. And Spleebie has the advantage of using this hammer against Moldorm later, and it's a useful item to have early.
Yep. And he's going to be heading to the basement here towards the boss, the Elmosaur King. Something that changed significantly in this route compared to the older route is that we now only have 4 hearts for this fight instead of 5. And this is one of the harder fights in the game, especially when we have to do it this early. It does 2 hearts of damage from any sort of contact, so 2 hits and Spleebie will be dead and have to walk all the way back in, which takes like 2 minutes. So...
Yeah, I was gonna say,
yeah.
There's only one thing that does 1 heart of damage in the Helmosaur room, which is the spikes in the back, and there's no reason to walk back there.
Yeah, but I'm sure he'll do the fight fine. Any sort of glitched category of this game will always do this boss pretty early, and so it's generally a good way to actually get good at it.
Oh yeah, that's true. Spleebie also has the advantage, again, being on SNES. He's going to activate Spin Speed, and in this case, not for going fast, but rather to extend the hitbox of the hammer, which allows the hammer to have a more natural ability to attack, and he can finish off Helma.
It's kind of a weird thing. So, like, the game thinks you're dashing, and so the hitbox of the hammer ends up being the same as what the hitbox of your sword would be while you're dashing, which is just like a box right in front of Link. And it's much more lenient to hit him in the face like that. Whereas if you didn't have the spin speed state, it would be a 2-pixel window to do it. Which would vary depending on where he's standing, so basically impossible. He cleaned it up really well. I don't think he took any damage.
Right, and Michael finishing Armas for take 2.
Yep,
Saving quick goes very well, and we are off. So now we are seeing a major glitch on the GBA side of things. And here is a Boots clip. Not a spin speed clip, but very fast, just the same. And
yeah,
we do the screen wrap.
This is essentially the same as what Spleebie did earlier, just that GBA doesn't have access to spin speed, so he has to do what we call dash buffering to get into the wall instead.
Yeah.
Where you just move and tap A at the same time. And so now Spleebie's going to do a clip into this bit of wall here and jump to wrap around the screen. And now when he screen transitions here, it's going to do it based on his global coordinates, which ends up putting him on top of the castle, and you can just go into the east entrance here, just to get in or back into there quickly. Since kind of another consequence of Rain State is that you don't get to choose your starting location when you save and quit. In this case, after rescuing the old man, he was forced into going to Sanctuary.
Yeah. Yeah, and conveniently, the screen to clip into escape is only a screen away from where Sanctuary exits.
Yep. It's very convenient routing.
All right, so we've got Hammer Escape for Spleebie.
Hammer and Boots Escape. It's a luxury.
Yes, it is.
A luxury that comes from early Palace of Darkness.
Yeah.
We see Michael K in Tower of Harry here, which Spleebie has not gone to yet, so Michael's actually the first one to go here. And there's nothing really to speak of in this dungeon on the GBA version. There will be on SNES version. So he's going to basically be doing the dungeon as intended, other than one bomb jump to save about 15 seconds.
Yeah, and I don't think we've mentioned the screen differences. The resolution is different on the GBA. The ratio is different. We have less screen showing, so the camera scrolling is a bit different. Just a bit of a gameplay difference we see.
The sound chip's also drastically worse.
Yeah, the port of the sound effects and the instruments are not super great. But that's okay.
So on Spleebie's side, we saw the payoff for doing this whole sequence for the early mirror, which is that after you get Zelda, your save and quit point gets set to Zelda's cell. But if you do save and quit and restart there, it actually sets your last entrance to be the Sanctuary entrance, which means you can just use the mirror to go straight there and skip that entire half of the escape sequence. And overall, this route saves something like 30 seconds, I think, because of that.
Yeah, the all dungeons RMG route, that is the rule set, restricted major glitches, it had been essentially unchanged for 6+ years. But with that mirror find, shout outs to Blank, we kind of rerouted the entire order. It changed a lot in this speedrun.
Yeah, so not only did Spleebie get to skip that part of escape, but he's also going to make good use of that by he just clipped into that section of the castle to get the small key that he didn't have to get before. That's going to give him access to an extra small key here in Tower of Harry, which he's going to actually be using to get the hook shot early, which will be in a couple minutes. But how he's going to do that is he's going to do a bomb clip in a similar vein as he did to get into Palace of Darkness earlier, and that's going to get him into Room and Swamp Palace, actually, since all the dungeons are on the same underworld map. As long as you can find like some unintentional way to transition screens, you can get into other dungeons. And he's going to have to do some further shenanigans there too.
And meanwhile, Michael takes down one of the hardest bosses of the game, Moldorm, with Fighter Sword. And this is an advantage Spleebie will have, not having to use Fighter Sword.
The intended way to that boss is very, very difficult. So we saw Spleebie kind of mashing the lamp there. That was not a mistake. He was doing that to... this is kind of a complicated thing, but he's going to be setting up for something called fake clippers, which is going to involve getting into a swimming state in Swamp Palace without having the flippers. And in order to do this, he's going to do something called an Ancilla Overload, which basically they're a type of object in the game called Ancillae. And these include all of the objects created by Link's items, as well as some other things, like the splash when you jump into water. And that splash is actually what does the check for whether you have flippers and whether to kick you back out onto land. And so we're gonna make use of that in addition to setting up some memory values, which partly involve mashing the lamp there, to make it so that this actually does work. So he's going to do another bomb clip here, as I mentioned before.
Well,
Actually, he's not.
Speedie
He's
is likely to do a dash clip here.
Yeah.
So there are a bunch of ways to clip corners, and very nice. Now we're in Tower of Hera. I mean, Swamp Palace, excuse me.
It's a little unfair. We have like 3 ways or 4 ways, I guess, to clip left corners and only 2 for right corners. So here he's going to use 6 arrows into the wall, which is going to leave 3 arrows actually stuck in the wall after setting a certain memory value. And then place 2 bombs. That's going to fill 5 Ancilla slots, making it so that the splash will not be able to spawn, and he's able to just be in the swimming state.
Very nice.
Then he abuses the staircase there to get pushed into the wall, and then through some specific inputs is able to kind of slowly nudge his way through to solid land on the other side. And he gets hook shot. That skips a lot of stuff. So how Swamp Palace is designed is that you're supposed to get the big key through the entire west section of the dungeon, and then get the hook shot and then go to the boss. But the hook shot is the only thing in the dungeon that requires getting the big key, which means we're not going to have to get the Swamp Palace big key later, which is why that saves so much time.
And nice DMD, Death Mountain Descent from Spleebie, a classic glitch that we see in the speedrun. We're now in the main Dark World without having defeated Aghanim. Incidentally, Michael has been progressing through Aghanim's tower to reach the Dark World. And one reason that Michael is doing Aghanim early to reach the Dark World is that Michael doesn't have access to the Kiki skip route that Spleebie took. And that's because, in addition to the different glitches, the game structure is set up a bit differently with regard to the underworld map. The caves and houses in this game are placed with the rest of the underworld in GBA, so the Kiki skip glitch takes us to a different place, basically.
Yeah,
or if we can even do it.
It's unfortunate. You can do the clip, it just takes you into an empty room instead of Palace of Darkness.
Yeah, so that makes this route quite a bit different. Mm-hmm. Oh, and here, after we defeat Aghanim, we often are treated to a long scrolling text sequence, but of course it lasts very for much less time on GBA.
Yeah. Yeah, and Aghanim is, of course, required in all dungeons. Aghanim's Tower is a dungeon. So it wasn't like the only way he had to go to the Dark World. It still has to be done eventually, so it's just convenient to do it now in order to get to Palace of Darkness.
Right, and I don't think I really talked about what restricted major glitches is, but this is the rule set of this category, basically, which is all dungeons. And we do have to complete all dungeons, like you said, including Escape, rescuing Zelda. And restricted major glitches is mostly clips and out of bounds, screen wraps, and things like that. We can use fake flutes and overworld YBAs using the bottle and the overworld. So it's medium glitches.
But yeah.
Right.
So we're seeing Spleebie go through Thieves Town here. This is another pretty linear dungeon. But here we're gonna get the Titan's Mitts. And the Titan's Mitts let us get the Tempered Sword. And that's why any sort of glitched category is gonna be doing Palace of Darkness early into Thieves Town early, just to get that early Tempered Sword as fast as possible. Having a bit of a hectic prison room there with all the enemies getting in his way, being in low health. This dungeon's another pretty scary dungeon to go through with low health. There's a lot of enemies everywhere.
And incidentally, for anyone new to A Link to the Past, the Titan's mitts override the no glove power that we had before. We're skipping power gloves altogether. And, you know, that changed the route just very slightly in Thieves Town, where we had to do a kill room instead of picking up a rock.
Yeah. So to answer the question from chat, whether this game has Ace, it does have Ace, but it's another consequence of glitches to do with Ancilla that I mentioned before. That's kind of been discovered over the past couple of years to be like the most game-breaking thing in terms of memory manipulation and all that. But a consequence of it is that since the Ancilla are objects created by items, we actually have to, you know, get a bunch of the items before we can really do a lot with it. Which means that Ace isn't really fast to use in any general circumstance. I mean, we wouldn't want to allow it in any category other than any percent anyways, but it's not even remotely fast to do for any percent run.
And like you said, these glitches have been developed over the last couple of years, and it's still an exciting time for glitch discoveries and rerouting categories and such.
Yeah, some may have remembered AGDQ 2021 featuring the All Dungeons fully glitched category, which was over 50 minutes long, and the world record for that category is now 39 something, I think. And that's just from more discoveries of how to use these Ancilla glitches.
Yeah. Glenn, you ran that in 2020, I believe. No, excuse me, 2021.
Yeah, it was
this a year. Yeah. Why am I correcting you with an incorrect fact?
Yeah, unfortunately, Michael's having a bit of
run.
trouble with the hammer jump here.
Yeah, and like you said, it's just amazing that 10 minutes of the game are cut since earlier this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do want to mention that about... Yeah, and I do want to mention, it's not just that, you know, the hammer jump is a difficult trick, but also on Game Boy, the text, again, is faster, and so select buffering is more difficult. Yeah, and it's more prone to save and quit.
It's not just that the text is faster, but the SNES has a feature where if you're holding the select button, then the menu will come up on the first possible frame. But GBA does not have that. And so if you press select too early while you're trying to buffer, then the menu won't come up. Whereas it will still on the SNES. You can't be too early or too late, which makes it a lot more difficult to select buffer.
Yeah, and it's already a difficult trick. Alright, so those Titan's mitts allow fast access to being able to save the frog. And
the frog.
Saving the frog, getting Tempered Sword, which makes the game a lot faster. But also, we need that sword to defeat the Ganon.
Spleebie got Fence Dash, which means he might be on PV pace here.
Very nice.
It saves like 5 minutes.
You love to see it.
It doesn't actually, but it does.
In our hearts.
Yeah. Yeah, so Michael's now making his way to Elmasaur. Will be a little bit more difficult of a fight than Spleebie had, since GBA doesn't have access to spin speed, as we mentioned before. Which means he's going to have to do a different strategy, which is actually the old strategy, or the traditional strategy that we've always used in Elmasaur until the spin speed trick was found, I think, last year.
Yeah. Or end of 2019? I don't know.
Something like that. So for the second phase, he's going to be just holding his sword out, and that will also displace the hammer hitbox a little bit, making it easier to hit him. He's going to hold the sword out in the first phase too, which creates a bit of a buffer between him and the mask. So he can't just like walk into it. He'll clink the sword first. Oh, he's going to actually try to use arrows here because he's on 2 hearts. Oh.
But the boss is just so unfair, attacking you with its tail and the fireballs at the same time. There's no safe place for Michael to hide.
The second phase can be very unfair. Sometimes you just get put in a situation where you can't do anything. You just have to get hit.
I do want to mention safeties in this game. We don't have fast or early access to mushroom to get the powder. In fact, we do have the option of getting mushroom to use fake powder, but we did not see that from Spleebie this run.
Yeah.
So we're going without safeties.
So he's going to be going back through skulls here. This mummy hallway is pretty interesting, technically challenging room. Really
nice.
Done pretty well there.
Yeah, Spleebie has learned a lot of the optimal strats for this game recently, so that's one of them. Early bomb jump is another one of them. So really nice to see.
Yep.
Okay.
Getting into the Mothra fight. That was
really cool.
Yeah, got a little out of hand there, but he still killed Mothula really fast.
Mothula is known for not being able to take damage when it's hit against the spikes. So we can use dash buffers, basically, or poke dashes, excuse me, to kind of force damage. And we normally see that happen against the top spikes, but Spleebie did it against the bottom spikes, which was really neat. All right, Helma phase, or take 2 for Michael. This is looking pretty good.
So you can walk up to Helma with the sword out like that, and hammer, gets him down.
Yeah, we got a kinder, gentler Helmasaur that round.
So, same general idea as Spleebie.
Okay.
Michael's going to be heading towards Thieves Town next. But first he's going to actually pick up the flute, which is not something that Spleebie is going to get at all. On the SNES version. On the GBA version, just because a lot of clips don't work, the flute will save a lot more time, as well as save and quits being really, really slow. On SNES we can just save and quit, and that gets us around fast enough that it's not worth getting the flute.
And I was proved wrong from earlier when I said it would be a safety-less run. Spleebie is getting the mushroom, after all. And now it's time to finish up Hera just by defeating Moldorm. And it'll be a lot faster, potentially, since Moldorm will take 2 or 3 hits to defeat.
Yeah, we see a very nice Hera poet from Spleebie. It's possible to, with the right movement, clip 1 pixel into the side of that pot or brazier. And then you can use the hook shot to hook the other side of it and get inside it. And walk up into the hole. And Moldorm's already dead by the time I finish talking about that. That's how much easier it is with Tempered Sword.
Yeah. One thing about this segment is it is less than 2 minutes long. And 2 digs for Michael. We now have the flute and now need to activate it. So,
He's picking up Ether, which has exactly 1 use in the entire game.
That's true. We do need this to open Misery Mire. And it's funny, we won't probably see the tile that he needs to stand on when he uses it because he'll be screen wrapped.
And he's actually going to Misery Mire right now, and this is going to be a particularly interesting technique to get there. So he screen wrapped on Death Mountain and went to the portal to go to Dark World, and now he's going to jump down to the base of the mountain again. So now the collision is kind of normal to where you see Link is. He's going to clip out a bounce here, line himself up in a somewhat precise spot, and jump down. And it's going to wrap him around the screen another time. He's going to do this twice. And this updates his global coordinate down a real large amount, so that when he screen transitions, it bases it on his global coordinate being way down here now at the bottom of the map. And he goes straight to Misery Mire.
And we're treated to square rain.
Yep, square rain. This is actually not as offensive as how Misery Mire looked in the old route.
Exactly.
Long ether, by the way.
And a nice scrolly scroll. The sort of downward scrolling that occurs while Link is walking downward. It potentially saves 5 frames.
Normal.
Yeah, it's such a normal way of entering a dungeon. Yep.
Okay, here we are in Misery Mire.
And yeah.
Mire 2 here is another very technical room. He gets a nice 1 cycle Wizrobes in there. Really satisfying room to do fast, also very challenging.
And we're going to see a fairly normal Misery Mire from here, from Spleebie.
Mm-hmm.
And meanwhile, while Michael was traveling on the overworld, he activated Flute. He also picked up a bottle and net for safety.
Yeah.
And
something else, actually.
Oh yeah, what's that?
Worth pointing out, as he entered the Dark World to go into Thief's Town, you may have noticed that he was able to hammer the gray rocks to get to the Dark World Warp, which is a GBA exclusive feature.
Oh, right.
And actually allowed him to go there at all because he doesn't have Power Gloves.
Oh, okay, that's right. I didn't notice that. Yeah. And so after that warp portal, he dashed through some bushes that happened to spawn a fairy, so that was good for him to catch.
Oh, we have a very exciting cutscene on Spleebie's side.
That's right.
17 seconds of the screen shaking. Everyone's favorite.
Yeah. And I'm not sure how that effect appears on a GBA screen. There are some visual differences that we see. In GBA, it seems there is a flash reduction, and some effects are different.
Yeah, but GBA does have, like, all the minor glitches patched out.
Right.
It's basically similar to 1.2 in that regard.
Okay.
I almost died there to the
Dangerous, yeah.
the gecko or whatever they are.
Yeah, the geckos, sure. I think they're called buzzes. I don't know if that's official.
Yeah, I think they're called buzzes. So, we got the Cane of Samaria on Spleebie's side. Cane of Samaria is the most broken item in the game, but we'll not really see any of that in this run because those glitches are banned. But I like the Cane of Samaria.
Instead, we'll see sort of medium breaking. With
this
Samaria.
is actually a minor glitch that he's doing. He's throwing the Samaria block into the pit there, which on the frame when it voids out in the pit, it sets the altitude for that Ancilla slot to be 255, and the altitude is used to calculate collision with the Ancilla. And for whatever reason, this carries over into the Fire Rod, even though the Fire Rod doesn't ever set altitude itself. I think he might have messed it up, though.
I didn't see the dash dash. The dash dash.
Oh, no, he did.
Okay,
he did good.
Okay, cool.
I thought he might have, like, messed it up, and that's why he used the Samaria block for the switch there. But yeah, he did a spooky action there, which is what it's called when we abuse the altitude for the Fire Rod. And Through some
Shout outs
specific
to
movement
Einstein.
there, we were able to use the fire rod and then scroll the screen up to load in the crystal switch that's actually in the other room. And then that gets hit because it's 255 pixels above where the fire rod shot landed. And the fire rod is like a lingering hitbox after it hits a wall or something.
And I forgot to mention that safety of fake powder is partially due to the cane. Okay,
Yeah.
intense Petrus fight on Spleebie's side.
It's a good thing that he did have that safety because it looks like he would have died without it. Petrus is one of the scariest fights in the run. All the eyes do 4 hearts of damage on contact, but we can fight it by stepping onto the slime, which does 1 heart, and then walking into the group of eyeballs with invincibility frames and releasing a spin attack. And doing that a few times will clear them out. But it's very scary, especially with like mandatory damage boosts you have to take in the dungeon. You can very easily just die.
Yeah, for sure. And Michael picks up the frog and will be rescuing the smith, earning his tempered sword. Of course, both runners skip Master Sword. The sword upgrades are, you get what you should get. There's no progressive.
Yeah, for whatever reason, the smiths check that you have less than tempered sword, not that you have Master Sword. That's the condition to be able to get the tempered sword.
Yeah.
I
For
don't know why they did
anyone
it like that.
really into... What's that?
I don't know why they did it like that. It really doesn't make sense.
There's a lot of why this questions in the development of this game.
Yeah.
But because of how swords can be upgraded, with RMG, we can technically upgrade the sword 8 times. So
Yeah.
if you're interested, you can run a category called Max % Swords and see if you can get all 8 upgrades. It takes about half an hour.
I'm not sure if GBA is quick warps. I'd guess that it doesn't because the camera works differently due to the different screen resolution.
Oh yeah, I didn't think about that.
Most, I would say most, maybe not most, but a lot of things do carry over in the mechanics, but I think anything to do with the camera doesn't at all. They rewrote the camera.
Oh, we got an invading mummy for
Oh,
Michael.
Michael's in what
Oh my gosh.
some people call the worst room in the game. I personally don't agree, but we're seeing a very big pace in its favor. In all dungeons, I'll concede it's probably the worst room in the run.
Yeah. Yeah. Michael had it takes okay, never mind. On to the next room. We're seeing a hover from Michael, but he's gonna just go for a bomb jump. Oh, the Moldorm. Yeah, okay, so we've got a fairy. And another great thing about the All Dungeons category is we don't have to fight land molas with a bow and arrow. We've got tempered sword and fire rod. So nice fight for Spleebie. Yeah, those mummies take 4 slashes, and Michael cleared 1 out of there with 3 slashes, but it just came back for more, which was ridiculous. Okay, big moment on Spleebie's side. We are going to map wrap the overworld, which in this case is very dangerous. We cannot move Link to the right whatsoever, or there will be a hard lock. An infinite, save him quick, please.
Oh, That's extremely unlucky.
That was
Oh, no.
incredible. It's a rare RNG, but very important to know that we can still be forced to the left after hitting a landmine. And Spleebie, totally aware of the problem, saved and quit, which was a very important thing for him to do. Like I said, he could have infinite screen scrolled.
Yeah.
So now we really need Ice Rod, and, let's just get it, So Spleebie is
actually,
going for it here.
you can get hit by the bomb that you used to open Ice Rod Cave, and you won't get pushed to the right at all.
Exactly. Yeah, that is a good setup. However, we were left of the landmine somehow and just got pushed past the entrance.
I don't actually know the exact reason why the transitions are weird when you map wrap. Like, why you can't move.
Yeah, and Michael actually knows a lot about this, about these kinds of transitions, and, it has to do with going from... It kind of depends on the direction and the size of the screen. It's just really bizarre.
Yeah, the overworld screens in general determine the destination based on your coordinate. And so if you hit one in a unintended spot, it will usually be... It'll be either an infinite scroll or a very, very long scroll, like in the order of minutes. Usually. And when you map wrap like that, for some reason, it considers moving at all in a certain direction to trigger a screen transition. I don't actually understand why, personally. Spleebie doing a mirror wrap here, where he activated the screen transition and used the mirror on the same frame.
Yeah, available to the 1.0 version of this game.
Yeah. Ends up putting him in kind of a weird state where he's still on the same screen that he started from, but is like technically on the other side of the transition, and then he can go back and it sends him far back onto that same screen and lets him get onto the ledge that goes to the bottom of Turtle Rock here.
We had that sort of reduced flashing, I believe, from Ether.
Mm-hmm.
A different effect, and of course a little bit less glitchy. Alright, and we have a reverse Turtle Rock, which is kind of interesting. It's a lot easier, no chain chomps, as we were alluding to earlier, being one of the worst. So we are skipping that room. We're skipping all of the front of this dungeon. And it just so happens we don't need as many keys, although we do need a key for the back of the big key door here, which is unlocked with a small key. And one of the sources of RNG is just what we call Pokies 1, where we get a Pokey key, and we'll see which way it bounces and how Spleebie approaches it here.
Yep, there's 4 possible directions. There's a strat for each one. So a lot of things like that in this game where like there's a strat for every RNG, and the best runners will know all of them and be able to adapt to what they're given. Which is what makes it a very difficult speed game to optimize.
Yeah. There's been so much optimization over the years. What nice cane dash setup from Spleebie. Really nice.
Yeah, with like all the save states and everything we have access to, it becomes like really easy to optimize every situation that can come up. Spleebie's going to be entering the Trinex fight here by doing backdoor strats, hitting him from behind with his sword.
Yeah, and this will allow just a 1 cycle from the middle neck.
Yep.
Well done.
And he's going to position himself here, release a spin attack that will hit the head twice, and then 1 more slash and he's dead. So, on the second phase, actually, you can hit Trinax's head until he finishes that initial movement and then starts going around the room normally. Then you can only hit the middle of his body. So we can actually kill him before he even starts that. On Michael's side, he's setting up for a door state extension glitch where he'll be able to dash through this little fence here. Unfortunately, he seems to be having some difficulty with it.
Yeah, it's just a shortcut, but we want to see if Michael can do it.
I'm not sure if he's doing it right. I don't know if it's different on GBA.
Yeah, it would be weird to me if it were different. From the input, it looked like he wanted to do a left and A on the same frame, which is correct.
Yeah.
All right, what's next for Spleebie? Oh, and Michael gets it.
Okay, he got it.
Well, Spleebie needs to mirror, and he's going to do a little jump here. Okay, we don't get the Louis hop, as we call it. We instead do a spin speed clip, and that takes us down the map to Zora's domain. And now we can get the flippers.
Yeah, so this all is kind of a big benefit of the route change, where we got hookshot in Tower of Hera. The old route, we got it from Misery Mire, and we needed to have the flippers before that. And since we needed to have the cane from Misery Mire in order to do Turtle Rock, unless you were named Malibucan.
Yeah. An old runner that can hover for minutes? A very long time?
But now we can get Turtle Rock on the way to flippers, and that saves a lot of overworld movement. Yeah, so the reason why the water looked all messed up in Zora's Domain is because we came from Death Mountain, and Death Mountain has a different tile set than the rest of the overworld, and so a lot of the tiles just don't really line up, and it looked weird.
Yeah, it gives it this pixel mud appearance to it.
Yeah.
Alright, we have a vitreous fight coming up for Michael as Spleebie goes into Swamp.
If you're familiar with the randomizer at all, and that's more or less what Swamp Palace is going to look like. He's just going to run through to the boss. He doesn't have to do anything here besides get a couple small keys for the doors. Michael unfortunately got hit right away in the vitreous fight, so now he's having the heart-wrenching, half-hard vidi fight.
Yeah.
Not what you want to see.
Yeah, he's got a lot of arrows stocked up, so he can use the harmless right side pixel to be safe and shoot to the left. And he gets the big eye out.
It's like Spleebie forgot to get the key first.
A common mistake. Spleebie's not alone in this.
Common mistake. Yeah. Michael luckily survived the vitreous fight. Very well played for that situation.
Yeah, and I kind of like the effect of the lightning on GBA. It looks kind of nice.
Maybe you're going to be doing a trick here called Diver Down, where he clips kind of one pixel up into the stairs, and then by placing the Samaria block there, which actually prevents him from moving more than one pixel downwards while holding down left, he's able to just slowly inch his way through that fence and then jump down. And
the water is weird in this. On many of these screens.
You can just jump down. There's a technical reason why he was not swimming there, but and it looked like he was over the water, but he was actually like under it, so to speak.
Yeah, the tiles are a little bit different from tile to tile, I think.
Yeah, the Swamp Palace collision is very weird. Spleebie's going for a Zero Cycle Argus, but didn't get it. He's on half a heart. He should be fine though. Not half a heart, 1 heart, but... Yeah, I agree, Malmo.
We see the rarely seen fairy room and desert on Michael's side.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he said he was going to take a bottle and net for safety. LC room. Michael heading towards Landmolo. We saw Spleebie do this earlier, I believe.
Yeah. And next up for Spleebie is Ice Palace. And while we do have mitts to get into Ice Palace normally, it's very possible we'll see a glitch from Spleebie, a mirror wrap potentially, like we saw with Turtle Rock.
Yeah, it looks like he'll be doing it. This one is said to be a little risky because after you do the mirror wrap, you have to move up a little bit, and if you move too far up, you'll hit a bad screen transition and hard lock, and you basically have to reset and do Swamp Palace again. But it's not as risky as it may seem. I think it's an 11 pixel window, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah, 10 or 11. And Spleebie went very high on that window.
Ice Palace. Yeah, he did. That was sketchy. But he got it. Now he's going to do another bomb clip here.
With a nice bonk setup to make finding the pixel easy.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that red Burry there, electrocuting him, that's one of the most annoying enemies in any glitched run.
Yeah, for sure.
Coming over to this from here, he's going to be doing a trick called Icebreaker, which is another door state extension, which I briefly mentioned from Michael's side earlier.
Yeah.
By kind of moving in a specific way here and making use of the Samaria block, which restricts your movement, you can get into a state where the game says Link is in a doorway, but he's actually not in the doorway. And that lets him ignore collision briefly to walk through that fence.
Right, and it skips a couple of the difficult rooms of Ice Palace. Oh, nice spin clip.
Oh, nice. Nice stair clip. Michael's on his way to get flippers, and then he'll be going to Ice Palace himself. And this is actually one of the last dungeons that Spleebie's gonna have to do. After this, he will be heading to Gans Tower, I believe.
Yep. And Cold Stare is known as one of the most dangerous bosses in this video game. And we'll see what setup Spleebie has. Oh, he's doing a double poke!
Oh, didn't quite get the double spin at the end, but cleaned it up nicely.
Yeah, it's the hardest.
This boss is very, very difficult.
Yeah, that's the hardest setup to learn, but it is probably the most consistent due to how
one of them,
fast
that
it
or
is.
the single poke.
Yeah, single poke is very consistent, and the faster we defeat the boss, the less RNG there is. All right, Michael has to deal with this screen, just like Spleebie did, but for some reason, Michael is having trouble with the cane block floating upwards above Link, which is it's something that happened in Michael's PB as well. For some reason, it just would not behave. And we could throw that block, but for some reason, it just wasn't working. And we'll see Diver Down, just like we saw from Spleebie.
Yeah. Spleebie's going to be heading to Gans Tower. He's going to save and quit to Death Mountain and do another screen wrap clip in order to get up there fast. Not just to get up there fast, but also to get directly into the dungeon without actually opening it normally, which plays a cutscene of having all 7 crystals, which he does actually have, but we still don't want to watch the cutscene.
Right. And we clip down in a bit of a different way. We just have to use the right corner to make it fast. And yeah, and Spleebie navigates down through the Dark World version of this area.
It's in his
There we go.
Holds down right, and he jumps straight onto the stairs, gets into the dungeon.
We are going straight up. We are forgetting the key. Oh no, let's go get it. Fine.
Just do big key skip.
I don't know how to do that, but we almost went for it.
So Gans Tower, it's designed to kind of be like the final test of the game. There's a lot of varying rooms that make you use all your items in different ways. And then the upper portion of the dungeon after getting the big key, it will be a very long combat trial, which we call the Gauntlet. Oh,
Yeah.
Michael did die in Cold Stare, but he had that fairy, luckily.
Yeah.
And gets Cold Stare down. Really demonstrating why Cold Stare is one of the most dangerous bosses in the game.
I wasn't watching that closely, but I know that this boss fight is different in GBA. There is falling magic. So, I didn't see it. But I know it acts a bit differently. Also want to give out to Spleebie's swag boom from earlier. Seeing boom and then hook shot, throwing the boom backwards.
Yep. Spleebie's entering the Ice Armos refight. The first of 3 refights we'll have to do in this dungeon. This fight can be kind of tricky. It's a little more difficult than Armos in Eastern Palace, but not really that bad. It's pretty consistent when you know what to do.
Yeah,
We got
well
big
executed.
key and some extra arrows. Yeah, that was a good fight. And then he'll be entering the Gauntlet, which is very, very long combat trial. Lots of tricky combat and RMG to deal with. These Mimic rooms especially are some of the hardest rooms in the game to optimize.
Yeah, when I was a beginner learning this game, I was surprised when people would say that, because it's well, don't you have control of the mimics? Because you have control of Link. But the movement is so specific that it makes it quite different and difficult.
Michael is going to be heading into Swamp Palace, and he is not able to get hookshot early like Spleebie was on the GBA version. So he's going to have to do the dungeon normally here.
That's right, so we'll be seeing the dreaded left side swamp.
Dreaded left side swamp.
And one thing we saw from Spleebie was walking across the first room of the upper section, taking 3 hearts of damage. And that is the fast way through that room. And this is also a little bit more dangerous for Spleebie since saved and quit. Unlike, walking from Turtle Rock and having full hearts. So now Spleebie is already down to 4 hearts, which is a little dangerous. But that's okay. And one reason it's okay is because we don't fight Ganon directly after this, we will be completing one more dungeon on Spleebie's side.
Yep. We got 2 Wizard rooms here, cleared out with King of Samaria. Very satisfying rooms.
Yeah, love the stereo sound on Super Nintendo. We notice when we play the game that the sound channels depend on, you know, what Link is doing on what third of the game screen he's on. Wow! Oh, we gotta be careful here.
Yeah, he hopefully makes this. Okay, that's good.
Yeah. It can be a little scary to run out of magic here. That's always a possibility. And there's no refill available.
There's absolutely no refill. You'd have to mirror. And I don't even know, you have to go to like the right side of the basement or something. Yeah, Michael couldn't get the hookshot earlier because the GBA version doesn't have teleporting, which is one of our main techniques for clipping.
I appreciate the attempt at the hover from Spleebie. We did not get it. So let's see what he opts for
He's
here.
gonna try again.
I believe that he can do it. That's right.
Woo, hovering for the fans.
So we skip one of the Light World refights after all. But we don't get the bumping bumper glitch that can sometimes occur afterwards.
Yeah, that's a fun one. I forget what caused it. Something about like Moldorm's direction updating the frame rate transition or something.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting to read about since it's on Spanda-ism's explications of this game. There's a lot of intricate things happening. Alright, and now what is Spleebie up to? He's defeated Agatu. He's attempting a clip to potentially get a bit of a shortcut. Doesn't quite get it.
Unfortunately.
So no clip this
actually,
time.
you can actually clip out of bounds there and run to the right. And that cutscene starts as soon as the bat goes off screen. So if you run to the right and scroll the bat off screen, then the cutscene will start and save a little bit of animation time. It can save like a few seconds, I think like 4 seconds or so optimally.
Alright, so we are beeping. We are in danger, like I mentioned earlier. It's just not as bad because we're in Aga Tower now. We don't have to fight Ganon.
Yeah.
Still dangerous, of course.
So, as I mentioned much earlier, Aghanim's Tower is a dungeon. There's no way around that. It has its own dungeon ID and everything. It's a dungeon as far as the game is concerned. So we have to beat it.
Right. It's sort of it can be a kind of a cooldown after G Tower. A lot of the time, there's not too much variance in the tower ascent right here. Of course, the variance comes in at the end with the RMG, but there's really nothing we can do about that.
Yeah. Whereas in like the no major glitches category, where we're not quite as well equipped, in that category, this dungeon is very difficult. But here it's a bit more of a breather.
Whew.
Of course, it's still not a breather when you have half a heart.
I'm holding my breath here.
Blocking the spear, good thinking.
Mm-hmm. Taking no chances here.
There are hearts in the next room, so he should be fine at this point. No, he's not taking them, okay. Got to see hookshotting the small key there, even though the hookshot can't go over those small rails, which is actually a consequence of altitude. Same sort of mechanic that I mentioned before with spooky action, except it applies to the small key sprite.
I love that Spleebie went for that dash at the end where a guard can so often hit Link off the edge. He just goes for it at half a heart. No problem.
I wouldn't say that it's a rare use of the shield. You very often use the shield on that room. At least in RMG.
Right, so we have the Aga fight for Spleebie. On Michael's side, Michael's able to do some dash buffering and then a dash to leap the edge of the mountain and jump onto the ledge of Turtle Rock. And that allows him to approach from the middle. And he'll be able to get the big key very quickly. He'll just have to progress without use of the mirror to get to the end.
It'll be a little slower than what Spleebie did because he has to go through the rooms forward instead of backward. But otherwise it won't be that much different. So in the Ganon fight, this fight is pure RNG. He does cycles of 5 attacks where he does 1 guaranteed reflectable, then 3 that are 50-50 reflectable or blue ball, which is a waste of time, and then a lightning. Ideally you want 0 blue balls. The average is 3, which is a time loss of somewhere around 20, not 18? No, 25 seconds. I can't do math. Compared to 0.
No math, only comment.
No math.
Only race.
After a quite lengthy cutscene compared to the GBA version.
Yeah.
Just because the text is a lot slower. Spleebie's going to be heading into the Ganon Fight, which is, unlike many Zelda games, not even remotely a joke. It's a very, very difficult fight. He is in 4 phases. In the first 2 phases both, he'll have to do 12 slashes with the Tempered Sword, or spin attacks. Will do double that damage. Unfortunately miss what we call the 1+1, where you get 1 cycle of both the first 2 phases.
We are in a favorable position for phase 2.
And phase 3 is kind of a nothing phase, but then in phase 4, you're intended to slash him to stun him and then use the silver arrows. And we never pick up the silver arrows in this run, and instead we make use of a glitch in Ganon's coding, where when he teleports away from his spot, he has 1 frame where he's vulnerable to normal damage. And by making use of spin attacks, we can hit that frame window very easily and kill him with 12 spin attacks, as opposed to using 4 silver arrows like intended. And
Very
he's
nice.
also making use of torch glitch, where those 2 torches go out the left and then the right, and if you light the left one quickly before the right one goes out, the right one will never go out. And this is actually really important to do the silverless fight. Doing the silverless phase 4 without torch glitch is like 20 to 30 seconds slower.
This is an advantage SNES has over GBA once again. This torch glitch is not available to Michael.
Yeah, but silverless is, I believe. Michael will also not be getting the silver arrows.
And GG's to Spleebie, defeating Ganon.
Yeah, GG. I think we could probably have some donations if there are any.
Sure. Let me go on the donation train. So first and foremost, there's a few people that I missed earlier. TK, thank you so much for $100 saying, I have no idea what Pictionary OT randomizer is, but I can't wait to find out. I guess I know where this donation went. Also, thank you so much to Anonymous for a $50 donation saying, Mux Insanity, Mux Dungeons, Mux Suffering. That sounds pretty damn cool to me. And then we have a third one to Vamilia, or from Vamilia, saying, I heard we could have all the dungeons, so let's have all the dungeons. Thank you so much for your $45. This already puts us at a whopping $1,013, which is amazing. Thank you all so much for the great start to the marathon. There's a few other donations without a comment. Thank you, Shadow Magi, for $250. Thank you, B. Luigi, for $75. Sorry, D-Pain, for $100. What else do we have? Mel for $75. There's so many that already contributed. Thank you all so much. It's much appreciated. If you want to donate, please check out ZSRM.ZeldaSpeedRuns.com. We have really cool prizes to win, including as our grand prize a Nintendo Switch OLED, so the really new Nintendo Switch, a Philips CDI, really cool Zelda stuff, shirts, Skyward Sword Joy-Cons, all that kind of stuff. So check it out on the website. There's also some bid wars going on. For example, the next bid would be the ultimate battle fight against a nightmare at the end of the Link's Awakening Switch 100% run. That's the second next run after Link's crossbow training. So if you want to donate towards that, make sure that's currently at $50 of $400. We can make that happen, I'm pretty sure. And back to you guys.
Thanks so much for your donations.
Yeah, thank you very much. This is a really good cause. It's actually pretty close to me too, so it's cool to see support.
And we saw, like Glenn mentioned before, the opening cutscene of the of Ganon's Tower, and there are some competing differences. We have faster text from Zelda to activate the cutscene, and we have slower save and quits. So we didn't save and quit. We just went from Turtle Rock to Ganon's Tower and opened it up.
Yeah. The cutscene is very fast there, so it's not really a big deal that I have to watch it.
Oh, I'm getting word that we are listening to the GBA audio, which is as novel as it is, a bit rougher around the edges. And we've got Link's kind of Minish Cap sounding vocals as well.
I think it is exactly from Minish Cap. I think this came out after Minish Cap.
Mm-hmm. And for anyone catching this race a little later than the very beginning, that is, we are racing GBA versus SNES for the first time in all dungeons RMG. And Spleebie finished first on Super Nintendo. Michael's wrapping up on Game Boy Advance.
Yeah.
And these versions of the game are very different from one another, but they kind of even out based on what's going on with glitches and text box mashing and such.
Yeah. Michael, unfortunately, had a very large time loss in the beginning, and due to a mistake he had to redo Eastern Palace, which is a large part of why he's so far behind.
Yeah, but unlike Spleebie, after Ganon's Tower, we do not need to beat Aghanim's Tower. We'll just go on to Ganon and beat the game.
Yeah, because he already did Aghanim's Tower much earlier. But I think it's worth mentioning that Michael did Gold Swamp Palace by 6.9 seconds in this run, so it was all worth it.
Heck yeah.
Oh, the glorious Link shouting. 3D Zelda runners feel at home now.
Uh-huh. Are you saying that GBA A Link to the Past is the gateway drug to 2D Zelda speedrunning?
It might be.
It might be. But of course, anyone interested in running A Link to the Past can join the A Link to the Past Speedrun Discord. Of course, we are primarily focused on Super Nintendo. But from time to time, GBA comes up.
Yeah. I've looked at GBA when I got bored.
Yeah. And in Ganon's Tower, we have 3 small keys available to use. Oh wow, Michael got the bomb bounce. That was unfortunate. So, bombs can be hard to control. Sometimes the wall rejects them. So before that, Michael picked up the Helmasaur key, which is one of the trickier small keys to pick up.
Oh, we see another
man.
GBA difference here. You can bomb jump that gap.
So good. I've totally forgot
he
about
caught
that.
a fairy, so...
Yeah, and I did not catch that was going to happen.
Oh, this came out before Minish Cap. I was mistaken then.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, this is a pretty rough port. So, they didn't really adjust it to the GBA all that well.
Mm-hmm.
So, Michael's cleaning up Aghanim 2 here. This is another very, very difficult fight to optimize.
Yeah, it's one of the most challenging fights.
Like, you wouldn't necessarily think so by looking at it, but this is one of the hardest bosses in the game.
Yeah, it's all about improvisation and reading the geometry of what you need to do. And you want to ideally beat it in 2 phases. You don't often have the RNG to do that, but rather 2 cycles. But, 3 cycles would be solid. 4 cycles also acceptable. But it's difficult to even do that every time. All right, Ganon Fight for Michael.
Basically the same as SNES. The fire bats are a lot faster, which I actually didn't realize.
they're already so fast when you play the game casually and you're learning.
This whole fight
speedrun the
just
game.
feels faster.
Mm-hmm. And that most likely is true based on reduced lag.
Yeah, that's true. The GBA version just generally lags less than the SNES, like barely at all. Which is actually the main reason why text and screen transitions are faster, because those are riddled with lag in the SNES.
Mm-hmm.
It's not something you'd think about. You just think like, oh, the text speed is slow, but it's actually like largely due to lag.
Okay. So, there is no torch glitch available on GBA. So like you said, this fight optimally is about 20-30 seconds slower. So if he can do it, he's going to go for doubles. So with each torch lighting, we'll see if we can land 2 sword spins.
Yeah, should be good. Ganon will always warp to the other side of the room, into one of the 4 positions. Or if you mean, yeah, for the question in chat, if you meant in phase 3, it is a 50-50 whether he does an extra warp or stops.
Yeah, after Agadim's blue balls, the Ganon warps become the next greatest source of RNG frustration.
Yeah,
And
and it
speedrunning.
can be pretty frustrating. It's just like 2 seconds per warp, and you can just get a lot of them.
Yeah.
12 warps is pretty bad. I don't know the actual math, but I'd say like at least 3 is pretty normal.
All right. Ganon is down for Michael, and GG's
GG's
on
to
finishing
Michael.
a very intense Ganon fight as well. And GG's to both of these runners for racing SNES versus GBA. A Link to the Past all dungeons. Great to see.
GG's, guys.
Yeah, thanks.
Hey, GG's, Michael.
Welcome
Yeah.
in, GG.
Feeling
You
really
beat me
bad
through the
about
Petrus
that.
text.
Yeah, feeling really bad about the reset early on.
And early
That's very
on, that was
unfortunate.
after Sahasrara. So you went for the save and quit, but what happened?
I just reset it before I confirmed the save and quit.
And on GBA,
Yeah.
do you have to reset after saving?
No, you don't have to, but it's just faster to just reset instead of confirming the text box.
Oh, okay.
First frame instead of having to wait 28 frames to first move and then confirm the text box. So
Okay.
yeah.
And Spleebie, GG's on taking the race. And I really wanted to mention, nice heads up play after Ice Rod Cave. That
Yeah.
landmine was the
That-
scariest
that-
landmine I've ever seen.
Yeah. Yeah, I knew I was the guard. Did a guard spawn? I don't, was that last night? All these runs run together. If a guard spawns, it's no problem, and even taking damage from your own bomb is no problem, as long as it pushes you right. But that landmine, yeah, I couldn't do anything there.
Yeah, exactly. You were pushed to the left of the cave entrance, which means there's no way for you to progress to the right to enter that. Otherwise, it's a reset.
All right then. So this was the first run of the ZSRM 2021. I can't believe it's already over. Spleebie, Michael, any final words from you? Anything you want to say?
Just want to say thank you for having us and hope we have a lot of more money for the charity to be raised.
Agreed.
Yeah, thanks for putting this on, and thanks especially to Glenn and Chex for agreeing to commentate for us.
Yeah, it was a ton of fun. Thanks for
Oh.
racing it.
Yeah.
I agree. All right, everybody. With that, we go into a quick break. Shoutouts to $1,337. And with that, we switch back to the break screen, and we'll be back in a couple of minutes. See you very soon.